Hi, I'm Clever Ghoul, but you can call me Nikki. Welcome back to the channel. Recently, while I was thrifting on a road trip, I found this Precious Moments figurine, and as soon as I saw it, all I could think of was Ellen Hutter from Nosferatu. So of course, I had to buy it and bring it home so I could transform her. This is a quick work in progress video as I'm having some technical difficulties, but I hope to be back with a tutorial next week. Anyway, with all that being said, let's get into it. First, I removed the bird from her hand. I literally just pulled it off with my hands off camera. I wasn't expecting it would come off so easily, but it did. Then I taped off the face, hands, and flower basket, and then I started to add in the black paint. This took several layers, so I would do one layer, then dry it with a hairdryer, and then repeat the process. After several coats and touch-ups, I realized how easily the dried acrylic paint scraped off the statue, so I took it outside and sealed it with Krylon satin finish to lock in all of that black paint. Once that had fully set, I brought the figurine back inside and removed all of the tape. Then I pulled out some brown paint and began adding in layers for her hair, again blow drying between layers. With the last layer, I mixed in some black into the paint because it wasn't quite dark enough. Next, I moved on to the basket. Originally, I thought I was going to do a dark brown, but I felt the black looked better. I did a quick layer on the basket and then moved on to the flowers. In the movie, lilacs are heavily featured, and I wanted to make these flowers look like that. So I mixed a few different shades of light blue and violet and worked in layers to get them just right. Then I carefully went back in with a detail brush to add in the black paint around the top of the basket. And I also touched up any areas that needed more black. I added dark brown around the base of the figurine and then painted the little birds all black before taking it outside to spray with sealant again. Once dry, I brought in the figurine and started adding in some details. The bonnet was looking a little plain, so I added in some ribbon around the top of it. I wanted to see if I could get the dress looking a little bit more like the pelisse she wears in the film. So I cut some lace ribbon and attached it around the top, mimicking that collar shape. Then I attached a small velvet bow at the neck where the bonnet would tie in real life. Ellen also has little flowers in her bonnet in the film, and I wanted to recreate that. So I pulled out some wire and white seed beads and began making some bunches of flowers that I ended up gluing down where the hairline and the bonnet met. From there, I moved on to the base. I was originally going to glue down some dark stones, but I decided to go with moss instead. I love its texture and vibrancy, both of which contrast nicely with the rest of the figurine. Lastly, I thought she needed something in her hand to replace the bird, so I pulled out some Sculpey and made a tiny heart pendant, baked it, and then painted it silver to match her locket in the film. I cut off some chain from an old piece of jewelry and attached the pendant to it, which means it's time for the reveal. Here she is. I'm so happy with how she turned out. This figurine only cost me $6 at the thrift store and everything else I had on hand, so this was a really easy craft for me to do. Now, as I mentioned before, in the film, Ellen is wearing a pelisse, which is like an overcoat over your dress. It's so beautiful. The costuming for this movie, which was done by Linda Muir, is just out of this world. It really should have gotten an Oscar. The amount of detail that went into it was just insane, and I definitely didn't do it justice here in this figurine, but I think she's close enough where you get the feeling. But with that being said, I'm really proud of how this turned out. I think my favorite part are the little flower beads in the top of her bonnet. I just think it really tied everything together. Now, Nosferatu was my favorite movie from the last year, even though it wasn't nominated for Best Picture category, which I think is ludicrous, but that's another conversation. Anyway, what was your favorite movie from the last year? Was it Nosferatu? Was it something else? I'd love to hear, so let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!